My name is Julian Clayton. I am VP of Product here at Procore for General Contractors, and this is the General Contractor Keynote, obviously. So if you're an owner or a specialty contractor, the exit is to your left. I didn't actually write anything for this. We're just going to break up in groups and talk about you guys for the next 45 minutes. No, seriously, I really appreciate everybody coming out. A little housekeeping. The lawyers make us show this slide every time. We're going to talk about some stuff in the future. We're going to talk about some stuff in the present. Please make all your buying decisions based on what is available in the product today and my charismatic charm. I have been in this industry since I was 12 years old. Literally, since on my 12th birthday. I took a commissioning company that I started in the late 90s. I took that national just in time for 2007 to cut it in half. And that's where I started in construction technology. And the technology that I was able to put out into the industry after that in an effort to save my company, it showed me that the technology side was where the biggest opportunity for me to do good for the industry was. I literally do this because I'm trying to help my friends who are still out there in the field working on roofs, doing those hot sites in southern Georgia. It's, that is literally why I'm up here, and I've been on that journey ever since, and that's what brought me here to Procore about 2 years ago. So really looking forward to having this conversation with you guys today, and we'll just, you know what, it's a big moment for the industry. Globally, because of urbanization, population growth, and just plain old progress of the human race stuff, we need 2.5 trillion square feet of building space in the next 40 years, right? That's a staggering amount, right? That's like 40% of the entire UK. And it's a real issue, to say the least, that the construction industry is not getting any more productive, right? In fact, according to McKinsey & Company...
We've seen this before.
Yeah, this is brutal, man. We've seen this. This is like 10 years old.
And anyway, nobody cares.
Nobody cares?
I mean, not the guys who are actually working on a physical project. They care about the next 40 days. They don't care about the next 40 years.
But I had this speech. I don't know. Why don't you guys come up here and help me do this? You want to talk about it up here?
Let's do it.
I'm going to yell out my speech. You're going to be a part of it. Dave, you want to tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. Hey, everybody. So Dave Burns. I'm Vice President of Project Delivery at McCarthy Building Companies, where I've been for 15 years. As the title implies, I wear a couple hats. My team wears a couple hats within McCarthy. So one side of the team is focused on the exploration of new and emerging technologies that are going to benefit our company. And the other side of the team is focused on scale and support of enterprise applications that benefit our construction and pre-construction groups. As far as McCarthy goes, so we're a top 25 E&R builder. We have a national presence, diverse work mix. We've got primary markets in healthcare, higher education, science and technology. As far as we focus on finding and developing top talent, we're operationally excellent in everything that we do, and we try and deliver exceptional client experiences. We're also 158 years old, which is kind of a cool stat to throw out there. So anyways, thanks for having me.
Hi, I'm Sarah Bush, Vice President of Operations for Landis Construction, and I've been with Landis for 24 years. In my current role, I am responsible for making sure that that giant chasm between pre-construction and construction is bridged, especially as more and more of our projects become so pre-construction intensive. So all of that knowledge and information is transferred successfully to that project team before they hit the ground running. Landis Construction is a third generation family-run WBE&C right here in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Who dat?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't want to talk about that game though, so let's not bring that up. It was ugly. It was ugly. But we've been doing this for 65 years, and we focus primarily on hospitality, education, healthcare, and multifamily, with a lot of emphasis on historic renovations. So I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we heard a thing or two about your project outside. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, the Montreal Convention Center Linear Park project was actually part of a larger effort of the city to revitalize that riverfront area. There's a lot of history of trade and industry on the river, and over the years it has become more and more inaccessible to pedestrian traffic. So the city wanted to change that, and the convention center wanted to be a part of that effort. So our job was to reduce Convention Center Boulevard from 4 lanes down to 2 and use that extra space to create that beautiful park that you see out there. And to make that possible, we also had to construct a whole new transit center and move a major transmission line out of the city, or out of the way. But it was a really heavy civil job, and the job site was over a mile long, running from Henderson all the way under the expressway to Poydras. And before we move on, I just have to give a shout out to the team that is in the room. Hey. Awesome project. A little round of applause for them real quick.
Wow. Well, I got to imagine with a project like that in this city, you ran into an unforeseen condition or two.
Spoken like someone who knows New Orleans.
I love this city. I haven't missed a Mardi Gras in 20 years, except 2021. And yes, that is really me. I really do come down here every year.
Yeah, well, we all miss that one, unfortunately. But anyway, yeah, the city has layers and layers of history, which translates to a builder as layers and layers of surprises. And the convention center stayed open the entire time. So there was a ton of public and private stakeholders, and a lot of complexity in terms of the sequencing, safety, communication, and traffic control. But I'm happy to say that we finished on time and with a very happy client.
I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful out there. I've been here all week. I actually took a moment earlier today to sit on one of the benches in the green space just to kind of get my head together for this. And, you know, I guess kind of this feeling I was going to get heckled. And it did, by the person who was responsible for getting that bench there in the first place. So, but I got to ask, you think nobody on that job site would have cared about my productivity slide?
Well, you're not wrong that the industry needs to be more productive and collaborative, but everybody in this room already knows it. We've been trying to fix that for years.
Yeah, so I don't think we're here to talk about macroeconomics in this room. I think we know the role that technology has played in making the industry more productive. Procore has obviously been at the center of that for a long time. So I think this group here, obviously you guys all want to talk about how y'all are kind of using the system between each other. We definitely want to hear about what you're doing within the product and have done, as well as kind of where you're going next.
I mean, that sounds like a pretty decent keynote to me. You guys want to do that?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Back when we did the Convention Center project, our focus with Procore was fundamentally how do we keep everybody on the same page for what we're building. The drawings tool was our home base for that. Drawings are essentially the first place that anybody goes for information in Procore. So the way we use the drawings tool goes way beyond managing design documentation. One of the biggest challenges on this job was just keeping ingress and egress open to the convention center and the half dozen hotels that fronted the project. And this is also a major thoroughfare of the city, so we had to develop a very detailed traffic control plan. We used drawings to keep everybody in the know on those logistics.
Yeah, so at McCarthy, we definitely look at Procore as a core operational tool for us. So it's serving that primary source of truth for many of our kind of critical operational data sets, as well as those channels of communication and workflow that kind of overlay that. So I think when we first engaged with Procore, what kind of drew us to the platform was not just that kind of easy management of the data sets, but more how you were able to kind of apply those contextual workflows on top of that data set in order to kind of keep everything and organized and in sync.
Yeah, in fact, I'll show you what that looked like for us on our convention center project. Procore made it possible to keep everyone in the field and the office aligned on the current set of drawings, even though they were changing all of the time, which was so important on this horizontal project where it's almost impossible to physically check to make sure that everyone is using the correct documents. So we linked all of the workflow systems you're talking about, Dave, to the drawings, which is where everybody looks for the information first anyway. We also use the documents tool to support collaboration and alignment. I was telling you that the convention center stayed open the entire time. Well, that meant that we had stakeholders like the convention center sales team who were like, booking events and holding events while we were under construction. When they started to realize that we had all of this incredible information that would benefit them housed on Procore, they were like, yeah, we want in. So suddenly it starts to feel like there's actually one team. We could just open up certain parts of our documents to allow them to have that information. And then everybody feels like they have the information to be effective and nobody is working extra hours to make it happen.
Yeah, these are the same reasons that we've put so much effort into bringing the model to the field, right? Traditionally, the model stays in the office where it benefits design and pre-con, but it's a bit out of reach for the field. So you end up with different groups working from different centers of information, and you have this imperfect data transfer between the two. But to solve for that, Procore has built what I don't mind saying is the most performant and intuitive model viewer in the industry, right? We originally built it for iOS, but this year we put it on Android, so now truly anybody can leverage that rich information in the model from the field. So we're taking this kind of thing even further with Procore document management, right? We all heard a little bit about that this morning. We know people are wasting too much time looking for the right information in today's document system. So that's why we're building Procore document management. It's a consistent, easy to use experience for accessing all project files in one place. Right? As GCs, you pretty much own the single source of truth for your project. So it's on you to make sure the right people have the right access to the right information, and that you don't expose the wrong information to people who shouldn't have it, right? Who hasn't dropped a file in a folder that shouldn't be there or shouldn't be there yet, right? So what we've done with Procore Document Management is we've automated those permission groups, actually based on the metadata in the drawing. So you only have to set up a permissions group one time, and then you can automatically distribute relevant drawings and documents to that group. Another critical element is the review journey. So now you're going to be able to manage the entire review and approval process from end to end, all within Procore. You'll be able to filter drawings by metadata, review, comment, and leverage the integrated markup as well.
Yeah, so looking at this, you know, I think the greatest opportunities that we might see initially in these capabilities are definitely more on the pre-construction side. I think about like those design cluster groups that you have in a design build approach. So we have multiple iterations of drawings, and the design is progressing like constantly, right? So collaboration workflows, whether it be design issues, constructability reviews, those are all workflows that kind of need to overlay that ever-changing world. So digesting, reviewing, collaborating on new information as you go through those cycles is becoming very, very critical for us in that design phase.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like we heard McCool talking about it this morning, FMI's Global State of Pre-Construction Report said that 60% of respondents are dissatisfied with the pre-construction solutions that are out there today.
Yeah, for sure. So we as general contractors are seen and have always been seen as kind of that core coordinator of the construction work going on in the field, but we are absolutely being looked at as that like coordinator of the design phase, development efforts as well, especially in those cases where we are doing that, those progressive kind of design build delivery approaches. So these efficient pre-con solutions are more important to us than they've ever been.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about on this subject that we have an entirely different session. I recommend everybody trying to check that out. But this is going to be our vehicle moving forward to continuously enhance our markup experience. And don't forget about our workflow engine as well. That approval and review journey is yours to define.
Yeah, so you had me at markup experience,
I thought
Julian.
So.
Thank you for that. You had to mention that. I think it's one of the biggest opportunities that we see for Procore to kind of enhance what they're doing, because if we can do that and we're delivering better markup experiences, we're going to pull more and more workflows and just data into the system than what is kind of sitting out disparate right now.
Yeah, I like this because it stays faithful to the principle that we need Procore to be that single source of truth for the project. That's also why I was pretty happy to hear Tui talk about Procore Connect. It used to be that we were the only ones that had Procore running on the job, but today we've got subs, we've got owners who are also using Procore because they see the benefit of having their own accounts, which is great, except that we can't go back to having multiple sources of information floating around again.
Yeah, you're exactly right. The whole point of Procore Connect is to extend that single source of truth across the entire project team, right? If you're on a project and one of the trades has their own Procore account, what you've got is this situation where both accounts contain a project that represents a single project out in the real world. So the idea of Procore Connect is to allow you to share key information across those projects, which means folks can operate in their own account without messing up that principle of a single source of truth. But like I said this morning, we're not talking about all information, right? You don't need to be nervous that people are going to see things that you don't want them to see in this scenario. We're not sharing like key things about your business. What we're connecting is the information that everybody wants to share and needs to share, which is why we're starting with drawings, right? No question that we all need to be on the same page there. I apologize for that joke. That is a terrible joke, but we put it in there anyway. But once you securely connect those stakeholder accounts, drawings sync right across to reflect the latest markups and revisions. It's just super simple.
Yeah, it's encouraging. I think the industry absolutely needs to find better ways to manage information between companies. I think everybody's adopting all these digital tools, but you see a lot of overlaps where there's more and more double handling of information going on across companies. And we don't just, it's the number one pain point we hear. And it's not just from like that GC lens, right? We hear that from the trade contractors, we hear it from our designers, we hear it from our owners. So without a solution, it definitely forces our teams to, we're either double handling, or in other instances, we're just kind of picking one of the solutions and we're not capturing things in like a standard manner, which it definitely has ripple effects in terms of our ability to kind of look at that more portfolio level insights. And you don't see projects in there, and it's caused by these kind of breakdowns between systems.
Yeah, it's kind of bad data in, bad data out thing. For us, solving that has meant the field has to come first. The field is where the data comes from. If the field won't engage with the software, it basically has no value. You're basically have great visibility to really bad information.
Right. So they're all busy out there, right? And the last thing they're going to want to do is go out there and capture a bunch of information that's only useful for the folks back in the office. It's got to these tools not only need to be simple, but they actually have to make them better at doing their jobs.
Yeah.
Was that the experience of your crew that was working on this project?
Yeah, well, I'll give you a simple example. We used the hell out of the locations feature. Because you got to remember the job was over a mile long. So we divided it up into 12 different work zones and then gave each of those zones different locations for everything we did in Procore.
I love that you're calling out locations. It's one of my favorite things about how we organize data in Procore, but I've got a little data that says less than 20% of y'all are actually using it.
It's been really important for us. We didn't do this back then, but now we use Procore's ability to generate a QR code for each location. You post those on the job site, and then when you scan one with your phone, you can see all of the work that's associated with that part of the job. And it's a huge usability feature for our teams because it organizes the information around the job instead of the other way around. If they can find the information they need faster and more intuitively, then they're going to be more productive.
Yeah, that whole usability equals productivity thing, that's why we're so excited about Quick Capture. And I know we showed you guys how that works both online and offline this morning.
We talked about it.
Exactly, yeah. And it's been really successful, though. And I think what you're talking about is exactly why.
Yeah, so I mentioned one hat that our team wears focuses on more the exploration of the new. And so that team's had a strategic focus on this idea of prediction and automation and how we can take advantage of technologies like AI and ML to either streamline or potentially automate processes. And I'm sure y'all have kind of seen there's a lot of different use cases and opportunities out there. So I'd say generally speaking, be surprising if Procore wasn't putting a focus in on this as well.
Yeah, honestly, as a product leader at Procore, this is the kind of stuff that I get really, really excited about, right? There's a ton of complexity under the hood of a seemingly very simple feature, AI, tons of stuff, but to guys in the field, it's as simple as holding up your phone, talking to Procore, showing it what you're looking at. It takes all the data capture from two simple inputs, and in our tests, it is really making punch and observations a lot more efficient.
And I'm not even sure that's the most important benefit. We see better quality inputs as a result of this. Better data pays big dividends when it reaches the office or the company leadership.
You might notice that the location QR codes is part of that, right? We showed that this morning. And you can quickly tag punch and observations with a location for the 80% of you that are not doing that. Just, But we knew it was cool when we made it. But what we're learning is that it's really a whole new paradigm for data entry. So we're super excited to announce that it's on observations, but we're not stopping there. We're going to keep rolling this thing out across the platform.
Nice. Yeah, so when I think of other challenges out there, supply chain is definitely another one that comes to mind that's pretty near and dear for our company right now with kind of the economy and everything that's going on. So opportunity to call shout out here, one of your partners.
Man, we love our partners. Let's hear it.
So I think this group can all appreciate, especially as general contractors, we need to have a well-organized material equipment procurement plan. And that doesn't just apply to our self-perform work. That's something that we look to our trade contractors to maintain as well. And we've had to hack solutions around this for quite some time, right? It's exports out of Procore submittals, it's exports out of P6 schedules, putting those things together, all patiently waiting. So in talking to an industry peer, I'll shout out Aaron if he's in the room from Alberici. I came to know of a company called Lead Time. Young startup, definitely understands the problem that they're trying to solve, but I think what really caught my eye was the way in which they leverage Procore's framework for integrating applications in a pretty impressive way.
Yeah, the embedded experience for Procore's integration partners is important to us too. But we have to be really careful when bringing on new technology solutions because no matter how useful they are, it's just one more thing that the field has to learn how to use.
Right, exactly. And so, especially if those tools aren't connected and don't really work well together. So this was definitely a different experience. You guys are seeing this on the screen here. So this is a really valuable tool, has the potential. I'd say we're testing and like giving them feedback, and it's a great group in terms of listening, but it's just that kind of integrated, tight interface with Procore. It's basically indistinguishable from the rest of the platform. So I think from our field team's perspective, they come in and look at it as, okay, this is like an intuitive, easy experience. But for me, like thinking about it from more of that kind of enterprise scalability standpoint, the change management and the training around a solution like this is going to be so much easier than some other tools that we have. So, and our team at McCarthy, we're definitely focused on, where can we find opportunities to leverage technology in order to solve business problems? Procore is obviously a core tool set that we'll oftentimes look to first before we go out and look at kind of the extended market of startups and hopefully partners of Procore. So it's huge when you see a company like that has gone the distance in terms of like trying to deliver these like well-integrated experience. So we can leverage Procore, but we can also kind of leverage that extended ecosystem. So, and at this point, what do you guys, I think I heard maybe 300?
Actually, there's over 400 partners in our marketplace today, but I get what you're saying. Like at Procore, we have about 1,000 people in our product technology department, and that's great, but if you add up all the developers across all those partners that we have in our marketplace, that's a hell of a lot of innovation for this industry.
Julian, at Landis, we've been playing with conversations, and I think it's going to be the next big game changer.
Yeah, you both have been toying around with this. What do you think?
Yeah, so I'll say I'm bullish. In part, like I witnessed a group of more hands-on users taking a first glance at this thing, and you saw so much energy and ideas actually around like how you guys could enhance and develop on this thing. So part of our job as general contractors, we're obviously trying to promote effective communication and collaboration across the entire team, right? So Procore helps with that from the standpoint of like the structured workflows that you guys have done and been successful with for a long time. But our project teams also leverage tools like chat, text message to do a lot more informal, real-time communication. Like they have to fill in the gaps around those workflows with that type of communication. So it's difficult to keep record of that stuff, but I'd say more importantly, like our teams in a lot of instances have to go searching around to figure out where maybe a conversation or a dialogue happened. So I think that this is a big potential benefit for that.
Yeah, I feel like conversations is definitely going to help us finally solve that problem. For years, we've been trying to centralize everything in Procore, so looking forward to being able to do our real-time communications there is exciting. And our teams love the way you thread a conversation to the other stuff in Procore, so the discussion around RFI, for example, is right there next to the RFI.
Yep, yeah, you never want to eliminate that like informal communication, but like increasing like the conversation that's happening within Procore, I think is hugely beneficial.
Yeah, and I put it squarely in the category of things that Procore is building for the fields. Text and chats, that's how our team communicates. So this fits right into the mindset that they already have. And because of the way it works in both the mobile and web applications, it really puts everyone on a single team. It helps the field activate the rest of the offsite team and align action around stuff that really needs to get done in order to keep that work progressing.
Yeah, I'm thinking as we talk about people in the field, we should probably talk about the plan that put them there in the first place.
Yeah, so definitely can't understate the importance of this within McCarthy right now. It's critical that we're understanding what our resource needs are, where folks are slotted. Dustin talked about it on stage as it pertains to his company. We use that information to plan and forecast our business. I think 6,000 folks, right? So like that's pretty important. So our effectiveness in workforce management in a lot of instances, it's starting to drive the bus for like what and where we should be chasing work as a company.
Yeah, honestly, our self-performed scopes of work are pretty limited compared to yours, Dave. But even so, we still have this same exact challenge of how do we allocate and plan for our professional staff. So this solution, I think, is relevant to any GC, regardless if you self-perform or not.
Yep, for sure. And it's not just a problem for construction. It absolutely applies to pre-construction, and even in a lot of cases, these heavy pursuits that we're doing. So we're increasing that scope exponentially across the country. And we're investing heavy human capital in all parts of the project life cycle, and we need a way to make decisions more intelligently around that. So, I mean, I can't, yeah, like something like this, and we have these, but this isn't going to work at the scale at McCarthy. And the problem has layers too, right? So we are a regionally organized business. Regional, like geographic regions, but we have a national renewables group that is growing exponentially right now. And so it's good, right? That's like a good problem to have, but now you've got this situation where you're trying to trade resources between different business units, and it becomes really complicated. So we know that we need an enterprise approach to solving this problem. You can't have silos of resource management for a problem like that. So labor chart, we actually had been using labor chart before Procore acquired them, and it is serving as a piece of the overall puzzle for how we're trying to adjust this challenge.
We've got a really big vision for where we're going with the workforce management solution, and I'll show you guys that in just a second. But first, I think it's worth saying out loud for everybody so we're all on the same page. We've now fully built labor chart into Procore as a native tool on the platform. It's now called Workforce Planning, and it sits alongside all our other field productivity stuff inside the workforce management solution. But here's a vision. I think there we go. That's where we're going to go from here. If you look at all the places where good technology could help with workforce management process, you've basically got our entire to-do list for this. And at this point, we've delivered a lot of this. But what's really cool about where we are now is where we're going to go next, because now we're in a place that we can build strong connections between workforce planning and the other tools in Procore and help you report on that data.
Yep, so kind of alluded to it before. I think workforce planning definitely kind of leads you more into that broader topic of pre-construction. So I think from a business lens, we see a ton of opportunities as general contractors to deliver value in that early phase. It's one of those places where we're seeing huge opportunities to integrate our systems, integrate our data sets, even integrate our processes, which needs a lot of work.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Dave. I mean, I spend most of my time on pre-construction because it's what sets Landis apart from our competition with what we can give to and what we can deliver to our owners.
Absolutely. So we don't believe that our construction capabilities are a commodity, but I think in some instances we have to debate that with our clients. Having those like strong pre-construction capabilities serves as a differentiator for us as well. If done right, I think it brings greater cost, schedule, quality, certainty for those clients, which is huge.
Yeah, we're really excited about pre-con. We're investing a lot in pre-con here at Procore. It's actually it's one of 5 big rocks in our entire product strategy. I hope McCool got everybody excited about that. So to kind of learn more about that, definitely check out this session.
Yeah, maybe we could just hit on a couple of things though. At Landis, we really make heavy use of bid management tool in Procore. It's a process that's always super pressured, whether we're in project buyout or pursuit. And Procore helps us move a lot of information to a lot of people very quickly. And then it also helps us track and manage all of that communication that ensues.
Yeah, we shipped a major enhancement earlier this year. One of the coolest parts of that was bid forms and bid leveling, so you can get your subs aligned to the way you structured the project and basically compare bids efficiently. And we're also making it possible to create the bid form directly from the estimate, kind of making that connection even tighter.
Yeah, and so estimating definitely stands as probably one of the most resource intensive of any of the processes that happen in pre-construction. So the way we're doing it today, I mean, it involves a sizable amount of manual processes, which obviously can lead to mistakes, which are pretty important to this room, right, in terms of getting that number right. Quantity takeoff, for example, continues to be one of the most laborious, of any of the processes that we have, even with kind of the modern tools that are out there. So we're not always in the best position to leverage the data in our models. in some instances, it might be timing, it might be the quality, though Dave showed off some pretty cool stuff in terms of the assembly piece, like trying to bridge that gap a little bit for us. So, or it could just be kind of the understanding and the training of our users on that side.
Yeah, we've worked really hard to make sure our estimating function is well connected to the field, to the rest of the Landis team. But I agree that this is sometimes a trouble spot for the industry. It's really important that estimating be closely linked to design review, value engineering, bidding, buyout, change management, and so on.
Yeah, again, huge priority for us. I mean, this one dates back to when we bought Esticom back in 2020. We make, in case it's not apparent, here at Procore, we make acquisitions with a lot of caution and a lot of intention. We're not interested in just going out and acquiring a bunch of features so we can put them on a list and check the box, right? And then ignore the fact that none of them actually work together. When we bought Esticom, it was already tightly integrated with Procore, and since then, it's become a native tool on the platform, connected with other tools like budgets, which speaks to your point, Sarah, about making sure Estimated is well connected to the rest of the process. And then a little bit later, we acquired Indus.ai, who were doing some really cutting edge stuff around computer vision. And we did that for a very specific reason, because we wanted to see how AI could help with things like quantity takeoff. So earlier this year, we shipped automated area takeoff, which is exactly what it sounds like, Procore doing some of the takeoffs for you. Today, you can do that with concrete, flooring, roofing, and significantly cut the time on that. And it's really just a start. There's a ton of potential here, and we're going to keep leaning in on this one.
Okay.
Cool. Another partner shout out.
Do it.
Sweet. Woo. So we're working with a company called Join. See Jim over there in the corner, which is a fast-growing startup, developing a really great solution from a pre-con lens. What's becoming that more common delivery method approach, CMAR, definitely design build. It's critical for our clients to have real-time visibility into the cost of their design. So estimating, it was kind of mentioned before, Dave during the main stage just talked about, this is not like a one-shot deal anymore in terms of like building and delivering an estimate. It's a continuous process, right? So Join promotes collaboration across all the teams in terms of identifying and capturing what are those like value engineering ideas that are identified throughout the course of the design. And it gives our clients the opportunity to visualize the decisions that they're making around cost in the context of that design. So that's been a really, really valuable tool that our clients have been the first to kind of call out as showing off or demonstrating our value in the pre-con phase.
I love it. Yeah, we're so happy to have them as a partner. But you were calling out how the model can be under-leveraged during estimating, which makes me really happy to announce that 3D takeoff is going to make it possible to do your quantity takeoff from directly in the model. So if you guys want to see this today, and trust me, you do want to see this, go down and talk to Dave in the Innovation Lab.
You mentioned the connection of estimating to budgets. And to be honest, I thought you would have brought up financials by now, Julian. At Landis, we're getting more and more interested about that component.
Yeah, it's exciting because I think you're going to find it pretty helpful. The important thing to remember about Procore Financial Management is it was built for the field, right? It's not going to displace your ERP. Your ERP is a very important part of your tech stack, but if we're being honest with ourselves, it was created for your back office. It wasn't created for the field. And what I love about all the work that our financials team is doing is that they're building an experience designed specifically for the field. So they can do their job well regardless of what ERP you're using. They don't have to know what that is. The data just flows between the two, right? Mm-hmm. Financial management has been one of the most important parts of Procore for more than a decade. So there's no way we're going to be able to give all the airtime it could use on this stage today. So if you want to check out this session later, you'll be able to go a little deeper on that. But I mean, it's kind of hard to remember. We just shipped work breakdown structure a year ago.
Yeah, so thinking about this conversation, I'd say I didn't want to sugarcoat it. When we were kind of going through this, we've been on Procore Financials for a number of years now. And while that was going on, while there was a lot of that kind of architectural under the hood stuff that Procore Financials was working on, in a lot of cases our enhancement requests were staying pretty stale, which was challenging. But what I did appreciate, like you guys, Jeff Lewis and the team, were pretty transparent about where you guys were at, what you were doing, why you were doing it. And I think since some of that under the hood work has been kind of delivered, we're definitely seeing a lot of better momentum in areas that you guys showed off during the keynote, and there'll be more to show off there. But so definitely some momentum we're seeing, which is exciting.
Yeah, I think the movements we're making over there, I'm pretty proud of it. It kind of makes me want to touch on the change events tool. Like I've had customers tell me that the change events tool is the most important tool in Procore. But again, to your point, it's also an area where we've gotten a ton of really great feedback and ideas from customers. I mean, you guys have been a big part of that.
Yeah, so this is a great partnership story, and it's not just a McCarthy Procore partnership story, but this was a partnership of a lot of companies that actually came together to align and define what those needs, or those most important needs were for us in the Procore financial space. So we definitely appreciate you guys hosting the group down at the headquarters over the summer. So I got to give quick shout outs. Ryan's up here in the front. He was a big leader in that. Stacy from our team, Gabby, Brooks, Aaron from Albarici. We had a Mortensen crew that was involved in this. Jeff from Balfour. Definitely thank Eloise and Jeff from the Procore Financials team and their folks. Like, it was just a really, really cool partnership story. So bravo to all the folks that were involved in that.
Yeah, you guys went like way deep on those conversations, and I think we just had a follow-up back at HQ not too long ago.
Yeah. I think we got the right group of folks in the room, subject matter experts who really knew these processes well, and were able to kind of converge around what that real need was. So at the end of the day, the enhancements that these guys are going to deliver, I think it means efficiency, I think, for our folks, and we talk a lot about like the offshoot of that being better visibility into our financial risk, and that's what's really important to us.
Yeah, I mean, that whiteboard really gives me some confidence. It's kind of like people actually in construction are helping design this thing.
I mean, that's kind of the point. I really appreciate you saying that. You know, at Procore, we really depend on the partnership with you guys, right? The fastest way to build a great product for you is for us to build something good, put it out there, and then take your feedback on what we need. But that only works if you're willing to play ball with us and give us that feedback, and you always do, and we're so appreciative of that. So back to the feedback on this particular subject, the learnings that we got from this, look, we've got roadmap for a very long time that we could run off of that, but there's two things that you're going to see really soon. And the first one is the ability to bulk create commitment change orders, which will make you way more efficient in the tool. And then this change management, aging, and progress view, which will help folks quickly identify and quantify risk and find those bottlenecks basically across the whole change management process.
Huge.
Yeah, the more we sit here talking about it, the more I want my team to try it out. But since we're talking about money, here's something the industry really needs to be better at. The business-to-business workflows for payment and construction are really not great.
Yeah, I think we can all agree on that, but why do you think that is?
So I think it feels like it just needs to be simpler, for sure, from a process standpoint. You make progress, you get paid for it. Documenting that progress, plus the routing, the approvals, it's definitely a lift. So the cycle times just seem like you saw the 90-day, whatever, like that's incredibly long.
Yeah, absolutely. And between our subs and us, we're basically financing the job in the meantime.
Well, I mean, I know that's something that Landis and McCarthy have the ability to do, right? But banking is not necessarily the reason you got into this industry.
No, right. But when you think about the industry as a whole, not every company is in the same position. I mean, we take a lot of pride in supporting and developing minority businesses, disadvantaged businesses in the city of New Orleans. And I can tell you for a fact that access to capital is a big challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah, and again, the big driver, I think, this issue comes back to that length of the overall process. You need to collect and verify lien waivers. You've got your insurance certs, and a lot of items that you need to review as part of this process.
Yeah, and then the actual AP process is also kind of cumbersome. I mean, there's a lot of legwork to getting the payment out of the door, even once all the boxes are checked.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to hear you guys talk about this because it validates exactly what we're trying to do. Procore is executing on an integrated strategy to help with everything you're calling out. The foundation of this is our invoice management product, which has been part of the platform for years. A lot of you already rely on that to streamline the heavy process of putting together a pay app for the owner, starting from when you invite your subs to bill, all the way through assembling that documentation back to the owner's invoice. I won't say much about what we're doing with materials financing because Procore Capital is primarily a solution for subcontractors, But it does go directly to your point about, general contractors being the de facto financiers of construction, right? But late last year, we acquired LevelSet, and they're the market leader of lien rights management, founded right here in New Orleans, precisely so that we could make lien waiver collection easier for y'all. And we're leveraging LevelSet's expertise to build that functionality on the foundation of our existing invoice management tool. So, and Procore Pay will also help you with evaluating payment readiness, all within the context of all your jobs, not just one. So once all the requirements are met, you can make a payment easily right from within Procore. The idea is to reduce the friction around getting a payment out the door to your trade partners, and then everything's going to live on the same platform.
I mean, I think that's really promising. It would be incredibly impactful for the entire industry if we could just get to a place where there was real trust up and down that value chain. And I think a lot of the solution there is cultural, and then possibly some of it is just in how we structure our contracts. But I do think technology can contribute to that solution, and I'm really glad that y'all are working on it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Procore's obviously got a heavy focus on construction financials, and so it just makes sense that you guys are focusing on this. Right now, the industry just puts way too much effort into the workflow. So solving this problem, I do think feels like an impactful outcome for the industry.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to show you one last thing, and then they're going to kick us out of here. Something that we hear from you guys over and over again is that you want us to put your data to work.
Yeah, well, listen, at Landis, we've got a lot of data and a lot of experience. We've been around for more than 65 years, so it's not like we don't have our own barometer on the subject. And Dave, I know it's the same for y'all, if not more, a lot more, actually. But I do agree that there's enough work being run through Procore that you all have kind of this amazing cross-sectional view of what's actually happening in the industry. And I think we could actually benefit from a little bit of that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no experience, there's no replacement for the experience that you guys bring and what you're doing out there in the field. But we do think that we can give you the insights to maybe see potential risks just a little bit sooner, or navigate change just a little bit faster. And that's exactly why I want to show you this. This is our General Conditions Insights dashboard that's in pilot right now. And this is an example of the kind of thing we're talking about. With this, you can compare your burn rate on general conditions to benchmarks composed of similar projects. The data is all anonymized and aggregated. There's no business secrets being given away here, but it does really give you sharp insight into how you're tracking and expose where you might be at risk. Okay, so I think we're out of time. I do appreciate you two helping me save my talk here, but I gotta say, I think you also helped me prove my point, right? We do a user survey every year, and one of the coolest things you guys have told us is that Procore helps you do 49% more work with the same team. So you're basically getting the work of 3 people with 2, and I think you guys hit on it far better than I could, some of the ways that Procore is helping you do that. But this is what I think it'll mean for the productivity curve. And I think that slide looks a little bit better than the one we've been looking at for the last 15 years, don't y'all?
Woo!